Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are in the world. I don't know what time it is for you, but we have viewers from all across the globe watching these live streams that I'm posting on a regular, ongoing basis. So for some people, it is morning. Others, it's like super morning. So it's all over the show. So, guys, today I quickly want to talk to you about the difference between sex addiction and porn addiction. Just before we start, today is Monday, the 6th of May. It's 10 to 7 South African time. So, sex addiction, porn addiction, what's the differences? What's the similarities? And so one big thing that most people get confused with is they think that sex addiction is vastly different from pornography addiction. Pornography is a sexual act. It is something that we do that is sexual in nature. It's watching porn, watching other people having sex. Obviously, it's more voyeuristic or focused on viewing other people doing stuff than participating in itself. And maybe that is one difference. The difference between porn addiction and sex addiction, porn addiction is much more voyeuristic. It's much more fantasy based, and where sexual addiction is much more participating in the act. But it is the same thing because both of them are sexual in nature. So for most cases, so all porn addicts are sex addicts, but not all sex addicts. All porn addicts are sex addicts, but not all. Yeah, and all sex addicts, not all sex addicts are porn addicts. I think that's a nice way of viewing it. So for people who are busy with pornography, they generally don't go over into acting out with people in real life, like prostitution, hookups, and challenging stuff like that. It can lead to it, and it often does, because addiction is a chronic, progressive issue. So it's something that doesn't really go away, and it gets worse over time as the exposure. It's obvious if you look at other people doing specific things, there's going to be a desire that will drive you toward real life as well. So often sex addicts or porn addicts don't progress into sex, like physical sex with someone else, which is an interesting fact. People who have sex addiction with acting, where they are acting out with other people, in most of the cases have issues with pornography as well. Although we have quite a few people on the program who is sexual addicts, but really don't have any desire to engage with pornography. They probably did at one point in their lives, but it's the thrill and the excitement of engaging with another person in real life that is vastly superior to just watching pornography. So here at Grace Online, obviously we deal with both. We help mostly. I always talk about porn addiction because that's the most prevalent. I think if we can help people with pornography to stop the porn, then it's likely not to progress into acting out with people on a regular basis. The other thing about pornography addiction is most people think you're a porn addict if you can't stop watching porn. If you watch porn 6 times a day, every single day, then you're a raving porn addict. Well, that is the case, that is true. That's not where that's not the measure of being a porn addict. The frequency, it's got less to do with the frequency and more with the patterns of doing it. So for most people, pornography addicted individuals, they would act out mostly on a Friday and mostly on a Monday. We have learned when people relapse, it's mostly on a Friday and it's mostly on a Monday. Why Fridays? Mostly people who act out with pornography on a Friday, even sex addiction, same thing, would have to do something with rewarding themselves. So they've had a tough, long week. Friday, it's time to reward themselves. Generally, people like that would act out more towards the end of the month. The reward from the paycheck that comes in, the fact that the month is almost over, maybe it's a big commission thing, then people will relapse towards the end of the month, mostly on the Friday, Saturday, mostly Friday, but sometimes Saturdays as well. Majority of people who relapse on a Monday has got to do with negative emotions such as stress or pressure, the heavy workload, like depression, the Monday blues, struggling to focus on the week, not getting enough focus on ability to get through the tough stuff that the week may be requesting or requiring of them. Most people like that tend to have a challenge with coping or dealing with negative emotions. So porn addiction, as far as I'm concerned, sex addiction is one thing, inability to deal with emotions. And that is specifically the type of clients that we focus on, people who struggle to deal with emotions, albeit positive or negative emotions. And here at Grace Along, we teach people how to deal with those specific emotions that they may be facing on a regular, ongoing basis. So just lastly on the program, so we've got three legs. Leg number one would be focusing on the men, helping the men find recovery for themselves. Number two would be helping their partners, the wives, to find recovery for themselves. So wives need recovery from the betrayal trauma. So we do betrayal trauma recovery programs. Men, we do porn and sex addiction recovery programs. And then when the wives start to do better, the men start to do together. We put them together and we start to focus on healing the relationship and helping the couple to make the relationship the best it can ever be. Thanks for listening to me. I hope you all have a phenomenal evening further, and that the Monday blues didn't get the best of you. So if it did, please definitely do reach out to me so that we can get you on the right path and help you to find lasting recovery.